Don't need to overtake. Like, but it feels good. Like, can I go for it? It was like, no, just sit there. It's all fine. Like, it's not ours to win.
Right.
It's Ashley's to lose.
Absolutely. Tom, this is the one we've looked forward to. Let's
Isn't
be
it
honest.
just? When we said about doing this, we kind of just came up with the idea, but yeah, let's do it for this one.
Yeah.
We're like, no, let's do it all year. But this is the one I think we had it planned for, wasn't it?
This is the one we had it planned for. I can't believe we're back here. It feels...
Oh my God, how quick has it gone?
I know, it's gone so quickly. And I mean, we still obviously look back at this all year. We've been creating highlight videos and all that sort of stuff, and we always revert back to this bit. It's obviously... But let's go over it like we have all the other
Absolutely.
rounds. Let's look back.
So the whole build-up, sort of final weekend, was really cool because...
Where were you sitting in the table? Second?
Third.
Behind...
So we actually came in, so
Ash and
I think
Jake.
it was Ash then Jake,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it was. So we were third. So actually, I felt really comfortable being there because the points gap was only like 7 points.
Yeah,
It wasn't
really
a lot in it.
close.
And the whole weekend felt like whoever wanted it most was going to win it.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to work the hardest? Who's going to devote it, the time to it? Who wants it most? Who's going to, it almost became a mini championship in its own. It was like when you were at school and it was like the whistles, the bells just got to go and it was like, winner takes it all.
Yeah,
that last goal, final goal wins.
Yeah.
It's one of those. And it literally just felt like it was just a 3-horse race at that point.
Yeah.
So the amount of work that went into that last race weekend was incomprehensible. Like the work that went in, not just from Spencer and I, but also back at base with going through the whole car, making sure everything was absolutely singing, to make sure that you were in the best place. That when you did actually hit the track for FP1, it was on. Like there was no issues.
I remember an interview with us, me and you did, outside one of these trucks. You had your tea because you just done a load of other interviews. You said, I will not want to change one thing about the car. There was other times where you've got a pole or you've had a really good race weekend, you run races, and there's always little tweaks that you would make. That wasn't perfect. But you said this, on the finale weekend, I don't want to touch the thing. It is absolutely on rails.
It was incredible. And you, in all of my career, I maybe have had that once.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice now, but once then, when it just clicks.
Yeah.
It wasn't a normal qualifying session when you build yourself up, you go through data, you go through video, you get yourself ready.
Yeah.
Like that was the most chilled I've ever been.
Yeah.
And it sounds a blasé thing, it was easy. I didn't have to think about it. I literally just sat there, drove around, and the time came.
Yeah.
And it was almost like an out-of-body experience. I can almost remember myself looking almost back at myself, and it just was singing. Honestly, it was incredible, and it was a really powerful moment. I've heard sportsmen and women speak about it in the past, but I've never experienced it. This like weird out-of-body experience thing. And it sounds really wishy-washy and blasé, and you kind of go, that's a weird thing to say, but actually I've never experienced it before. I hope I experience it again because it's such a powerful state of mind to be in. But I felt uber confident going into the whole weekend anyway. Like we were going to win that. It's a whole state of mind thing, and we worked quite hard on that.
Despite sitting in third, despite being,
I knew,
just had that.
I'd convinced myself it's happening. I'm winning it. No one's going to work harder than me. No one's going to do any more work. The car's going to be better than everyone else. We're going to work better as a team. Like it's just a state of mind thing.
Yeah.
And I felt so powerful coming into the weekend. It was amazing.
You standing in the garage afterwards, and I remember you saying it wasn't willy waving or anything like that. It was genuine tyre thing.
Yeah.
We were always going to do that.
Yep.
But it's the only time, I've been working with you for, 3 years now? It's the only time you've ever done it.
Yeah.
It had to be that weekend.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant for our cameras, because I was like, this is weird. We've
Yep.
got to film him now.
Yeah.
And this has got to happen. And you were watching it with Spencer.
Yeah.
And we knew, right, he's got pole now. Why is he not celebrating? But you were just checking things, and you were like, I think we've got this. It was the most amazing moment.
It was awesome. It was so cool, because it wasn't a willy waving exercise. That was genuinely just done on. We'd done 2 runs.
Right.
So we'd saved it. We'd tried to bank a set of boots, but we'd done the time, and it was like, I don't think no one's going to get this. And I was sat in the car, and Spencer was going, "What do you want to do, mate?" I was like, "Well, should we get ready in case we need to go for another run?" He was like, "I don't think anyone's going to get near that. You're going to be all right." I'm like, what if they do? And all the time you're sat there, you're watching the timer coming down, going, like, I don't think actually, if it comes to it, we've not actually got the time to be able to do it now.
Right.
So you may as well jump out.
Right.
Get out of the car, just get out of the car, mate.
Watch it.
As in, but qualifying's going, I can't get out of the car, that's mad. But just get out. Oh, wow.
Who was asking you to get out? Spencer?
Benny.
Nice.
And I don't, when you look back at it, you go, actually, it's a bit of a power move, because everyone looks at it and goes, oh, he's got out of the car. Oh my God, he's got out of the car. I'm not going to be able to beat him if he's got out of the car. He doesn't think anyone else can be quicker. So actually, you look back at it and go, oh wow, that's pretty cool. At the time, I was like, I don't want to get out of the car. This feels terrifying. But it was like, get out now.
Let's move on to race day. I was trying to push you for a little. We follow you around with a camera, so it's always good to get a little bit of those moments, and you're quite hard to get those moments because you're always just on the level. But I was trying to be like, is there a bit of nerves? Is there anything? And to be fair, you were exactly the same as you are normal. I was trying to even get you off camera, like, come on, you're feeling it, you're feeling it. But you were literally just the same.
I think it's that state of mind thing.
Right.
Because so I love it. So I've worked with Nessie, who has helped me a lot over the years. And it's a state of mind.
Right.
But I felt so powerful that weekend mentally that I knew that I was having that.
Yeah.
So actually you don't start thinking about what if he's going to come through, what if they've done that, what if they've done that. You just like, we're having that.
Yeah.
No questions asked. We're having that. And it's not a cocky thing. It's not a case of being really blasé about anything. You just feel very confident that, like, I know that's going to happen. It's like trying to convince somebody that that's a bottle of water. You just know it.
Yeah.
The most nervous I was all weekend was sat just where you are there, Dan, 25 minutes before the final race.
Right.
Because I had like half an hour where I didn't have anything on. There was no media stuff.
Yeah.
It was sort of the eye of the storm in that moment.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first two races.
Yep.
You out from the start.
Yep.
I mean, you kept Rory Butcher, I think, was behind.
It was, yes. Yeah, Rory was second.
You kept him at arm's length from the first.
Yep.
On the first corner, and obviously, I say this as an absolute casual, never having driven a racing driver. You looked all right in the first race.
It
looked okay. You looked quite casual. Like, oh, I can bring this. I can do this in my sleep. Kind of thing.
Exactly what it was. So it was all about the start.
Yeah.
This place is really difficult to, if you do get a bad start, to try and make up some lost ground.
Yeah.
I knew if I got a good start, if I got off the line well, I could control the pace. And again, that comes back to knowing that actually the people who are around me, the guys who's in second, third, fourth, fifth, I was quicker than them in qualifying.
Yes.
So again, you just have that
confidence.
It's okay, we got this. Like I can control this. Rory was quick for the first lap, was punchy up to the outside at Druids and bits and pieces like that. So I was aware, but at the same time, I have got a lot of respect for Rory, and I knew he was not going to do anything silly.
Yeah.
He wanted a win. Of course, he wanted a win.
Yeah.
He wanted a podium. Of course, he wanted a podium. But I was also at the same time knew he was going to be very respectful. He wasn't going to be an idiot. He wasn't going to look. If I left the gap, who's going to fill it?
Yeah.
Like obviously.
Yeah,
but I knew there wasn't going to be a stupid dive down the inside from 10 car lengths back because I want to win the race.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to do that. He's like I say, I trust him enough. So that was good to almost have Rory there and have somebody that you can respect with, which is good. But it was just a case of manage it, control the race, look after a bit of hybrid if you need it, keep the car working, don't take too much out of it, and just be settled. And the first race went perfectly to plan. It was exactly that.
And race 2, am I right in thinking that Rory had a real go at you in the first?
He did.
On the first lap.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of screams in the garage. I seem to remember. But he had a real go.
But that second race wasn't plain sailing at all because Jake then, with probably 6 laps to go, maybe a few less, got past Rory.
Yeah.
And was then on the attack.
Yeah.
And he was coming at me fast. Like he was coming at you quick. And I knew I had to keep Jake behind because at that point, we were still all three of us together and in the mix. So I knew I had to stay ahead of him.
Yeah.
I think we had 3 laps to go. I knew I had 1 lap of hybrid left. I knew Jake had 1 lap of hybrid left. Yeah. He then used it on that. I was like, okay. Spencer then gave me the info.
Right,
I was like, okay, with 2 laps to go, I've got a lap of hybrid.
Yeah.
Jake hasn't. As long as nothing goes wrong, I've got this. Like I can open up a gap. And it became a hybrid battle in those last few laps.
Yeah.
But again, that really was stressful because I knew Jake had to get past, and I knew I couldn't afford to let Jake pass. That it becomes just drive as fast as you can, make no mistakes.
That was stressful for the entire garage. We know, look, you know how Jake drives, and obviously with the championship on the line, he was going to throw everything at it, and that BMW had been a rocket ship.
It had, yeah.
And you knew in the later laps, once the BMW was warmed up, it was like, oh my God, it's coming.
Of course, yeah. Jake, thankfully for us, I could see Jake was moving around a lot. I could see he was having a lot of oversteer, so I knew he'd probably routed his rear tyres as well. So there's two bits. You're trying to play the game. You're trying to see how your car's looking. You're trying to see what's going on with Jake. You're trying to play it with hybrid. You're trying to look after some. You're also aware that look, if there's a safety car now, this could all unravel. But you know, it's just trying to play the game.
So we've done race 1. We've done race 2.
So yeah, race 3. This was honestly, I've never felt more nervous before something. We got off the start, we got a good start. We got ahead of Jake. Jake and I spent, I think, a lap, maybe 2 side by side. Really respectful. Jake had every opportunity to sling me in the hedge. I had every opportunity to sling Jake in the hedge. We didn't make it easy for each other, but equally we're not going to do anything daft. So we spent half a lap round, also, you know, a lap and a half together. I was then ahead, and I was up behind Dan Camish, I think, for a number of laps. And I was just sort of behind him. And I kind of knew I didn't need to overtake him, but the car felt great. The car was really racing. I'm sort of on the blow to Spenny, like, I don't need to get past him here. And Spenny's like, no, you don't need to get past. I'm like, but the car feels good. Don't need to overtake. I'm like, but it feels good. Like, can I go for it? It was like, no, just sit there. It's all fine. I'm like, but the car feels good. Tom, just sit there, please. Like, okay. I knew that he had to be like 3rd if I was 7th or something. So I knew I could probably let him come past to minimise the risk in at that stage of the race. But that's when you then don't account for stuff like this going wrong. This is with Dan and Adam Morgan.
And you just avoided one there,
so close to that. As he then swerves across, I actually went and tensed because I thought he was going to come straight into the side of me.
Oh my word.
And that was me done. So I actually get off the circuit.
The screams in the garage at this point, I kid you not, and I actually got a bit of emotion, which I'm hoping you're going to cut in. I got a bit of emotion from Spencer. Like, we don't get much emotion from Spencer. He literally almost had his head in his hands. If he was literally like, what are you doing? Like, you could just see his frustration.
So, Jake had got up to the back of Ash.
All three here. Yeah,
so when you think, you know, the first 3 of us in the championship, in the final race of the year, all vying for position, still with a handful of points between us. Now, I was sort of sat in behind it, going and just kind of watching it all unfold. But again, I still had great pace in the car. And you know what? Sometimes it's harder to not drive at pace. This sounds really daft. Sometimes it's harder to drive around and not think about anything. Just to drive around and just be steady, because that's when mistakes start to creep in, your mind starts to wander. And actually, Ash had defended the inside. Jake had gone to the outside going into paddock. And I'd got a mega run on the 2 of them. And I went, if I back out now, I've got every possibility that George behind. And I trust George. I know he's not going to be an idiot. But I can't. I almost need to just take charge here as to what's going on, because. And I'm going to put the car on the inside, and I'm just going to sort this out. Because at that point then, Ash then gets ahead. I'm in the middle. Jake's behind. Problem solved for everyone. Like, we're all safe. Like, we're all going to get through this. You can't really, like, put into words what it means to everyone else. But for when you're in the car, it feels like you're completely in control. Like, there's no stress. There's no danger. It's almost worse being stood on the outside looking in. When you're actually doing it, it's okay, because I know I'm in control. I know I've got this. You know that I'm in control of your own destiny. It's almost like being a passenger in something. That when you're in it, it's fine. It's for everyone watching. So in the garage, when you went for that move, everyone's like, "Don't do that, you idiot!" But I was like, "It's all right. It's fine. Like, there's no risk here. This is safe." And it's moments like that from the outside it looks really bad, but actually when you're doing it, you're fine. Like, I know you know when to take risks. You know when not to take risks. You know, I'd like to think myself I'm switched on enough to understand and know when and when not to do it. And that felt fine. That didn't feel a problem at all. And as we were coming up, it came through clearways, and you come up to the little kink just before you go across the start-finish line. Now, normally the line is you go through that kink and stay down to the right. If you watch the video, I'm up to the left-hand side, and that's because Spenny's opened the radio channel up and said, you know, Tom, you're the 2022 British Touring Car Champion. And as soon as that happened, I just went poof, started crying. That I actually had to look up and go, oh no, I'm still having to drive here. So there's still a corner here. But when he said that, like, you could hear the background, like you could hear everyone in the garage. You could just hear it going mental.
It was crazy.
You don't realise how big of an impact it has on everyone, because you get so caught up. We all do. We all get caught up in our own little world of up to do your your own thing, and that might be for me the driving side. It could be for you the media side. It could be Laura looking after all the guest management. It could anything that the whole means different things to because we're all caught up in our own little world. But I love the thing that everyone can kind of then come together and celebrate that one moment.
Yeah.
And everyone from the guys and girls who have been watching on the banks to the guys watching in the stands, to the people in the garage. Everyone will have had a memory of where they were when we went across the line. Absolutely. And how we felt at that moment. But we all shared the same feeling at the same time, which I think is really, really special. Really, really special. And it's such a unique experience to have.
We're here again at Brands Hatch in a very different position.
Yep.
You're reigning champion still. You know, the odds, I guess, against us.
Yeah.
How are you feeling going into this round?
I feel fairly chilled. You know, realistically, it's not ours to win.
Right.
It's Ash's to lose.
Absolutely.
Now, last year that was very different because, as I said to you earlier on, last year was who's going to grab it by the scruff and take it. This year's not that at all. Yeah. So this year definitely just does feel as though it feels more of a normal race weekend in that sense. And we'll focus on ourselves and make sure that all the homework's done. We'll make sure that we've done everything we need to. That when we're by the time we start on Saturday morning, car's feeling good, car's feeling strong. We'll focus on ourselves, and that's all you can do. Just make sure that as a unit and as a team and as everything in, we're as quick as we can be. And if it's enough, it's enough. But fundamentally, we need Ash to have an absolute Western.
Yeah.